Hello, I'm Brent Wasko from the Allegheny County Department of Public Works, and welcome to Conversations with the County Executive. I'm joined today in beautiful South Park with County Executive Rich Fitzgerald. Rich, thanks for being here.
It's good to be here, and it's always good to be in South Park, which is beautiful right now.
Absolutely. Today's topic is sustainability, which is very important to the county. What does that word mean to you, and why is it so important?
It means that the assets that we have, obviously park land, we have 12,000 acres of park land. How do we allow people and have people really enjoy the parks and the outdoors, but also improve our environment and be sustainable as far as reducing our carbon footprint, not allowing water runoff to do damage to some of our streams and neighborhoods, things along those lines. So sustainability has an awful lot of aspects, and we work at it in so many ways.
Yeah, and when you first took office a little more than 11 years ago, there was one employee focused on sustainability. What does that look like now?
Well, and you're right, there was one person who was working in facilities, and now we've created an entire sustainability department that works with all of the assets, all of the buildings, all of the parkland, and all the things that we have in county government, so that all of our operations, whether it's the materials we're recycling, whether it's the parking lots that we have here where we're near a parking lot that now allows stormwater to go into it, et cetera, all of these things, having a sustainability department allows us and the 6,000 employees that we operate and the couple $2 billion worth of operations that we run in serving Allegheny County, we do so in a sustainable way.
And you talked about the parking lot we're standing on now here in South Park. Before, it was a simple concrete parking lot, but it's something special now. Explain.
Well, this parking lot, which is obviously right here near our South Park Fairgrounds and where we have our concert series at the corner of Corrigan Drive and Bronzeville, it's a major intersection for the park. We now have pavable, permeable pavement that allows stormwater when we get these storms to not go in and do the damage to Catfish Run. This parking lot will take about 95% of the stormwater. Over 2 million gallons of water will just absorb down into a gravel bed and then slowly down into the ground. We've also planted over 200 shrubs and trees to protect the banks of Catfish Run. And I think about a storm we had just a couple of years ago that did so much damage to Catfish Run and the flooding that happened down on our fairgrounds, that even in our roundhouse, which is where we keep our horses for the county police, the water was up to the bellies of those horses. So, to try to, maintain the stormwater that doesn't do damage and pollute our waterways and our rivers is just one aspect of things we've done. This was an investment that was done by a lot of private money, not just taxpayer money that the Parks Foundation put together.
Well, and there's been stormwater management projects, not just in South Park, but other parks as well, correct?
That's exactly right. Deer Lakes Park has another parking lot like this, but we've also planted over 43 acres of meadowlands, which will take about 25 million gallons of stormwater out of those various locations. So the trees that we plant, the shrubbery that we plant, all the things that we do is try to, again, manage the stormwater. And we know we get some severe storms, particularly in our summertime months. We want to be good partners, and we want to lead when it comes to sustainability. And those 9 county parks, those 12,000 acres of parklands, are one example of how we do that.
Well, and the trees and plants, they don't just help with stormwater, they help in other ways too. Air quality, for example. And we've planted a lot of trees and plants over the last decade.
I made a commitment when I came into office that I wanted to plant we wanted to plant about 1,000 trees per year. And this year we're almost at 12,000 in my 12th year. And you're right, it takes more than 500,000 pounds of carbon dioxide out of the air, about 600,000 pounds of CO2 out of the air. As we deal with climate changes, we try to decarbonize some of the operations that we have. Planting all these trees will help with our air quality. It also helps again with the water retention that we talked about. So adding all those trees improves the environment for the community at large and the county at large.
Another big endeavor is right behind us, the South Park solar lights that line a popular trail here. Talk about that effort and why that was important.
Well, Corrigan Drive, a little over a 2-mile path that people use constantly, biking, walking, jogging, rollerblading, etc. So many people love the beauty of what we have here at Corrigan Drive, the people who live in the South Hills. But at night, when it got dark, they really couldn't use it. The only lights would have been the car lights that were driving up and down Corrigan Drive. So we've wanted to light it, but if we had just used typical lighting off of using the grid of power plants, that would have added to the carbon footprint that we're trying to reduce. So we put these solar lights in a couple of years ago, so now people can enjoy them throughout the evening, up into dusk. Even in late at night, into 10 or 11 o'clock at night, they could still be using the park after work, particularly in the winter months. And we're not adding anything to the carbon footprint because they're all solar paneled, and they save a tremendous amount on our ecology and on our environment.
And those aren't the only solar panels and lights throughout the county parks, correct? We had quite a few over the years.
We're doing them all over in many of our county parks. This is just one example of it, but we have our shelters. A lot of our shelters are now being powered by solar. We actually have 2 of our parks that are going to be net zero by the end of the year, White Oak and Deer Lakes. So we're continuing to add sustainable energy reduction, energy usage in our parks. We do it throughout the county. We do it throughout our agencies, throughout the airport, et cetera, the community college. It's something that we're very, very committed to. The parks, again, are a very visible example of where we're dealing with sustainability.
Well, when you talk about renewable energy throughout the county, there's an exciting project going on right now with hydropower, correct?
That's exactly right. We've used our rivers historically for industry. And we love our rivers. I mean, it adds to the beauty, and people recreationally use them. Well, what we're going to use our rivers for now is to create energy, to create electrical energy. The grid, as the water flows over the locks and dams, the Emsworth Lock and Dam, we're going to generate electricity from that, and it's going to power basically all of the county operations, well over 90%, whether it's at our courthouse, our county office building, the medical examiner labs, the health department labs, human services, the jail, the canes, the parks. All the things that we generate a lot of electricity, need to, because we serve the public, but now we'll be able to do it with not using grid power, but actually using hydropower off of our rivers.
One of the first things you did when you first took office was have the county join the Pittsburgh 2030 initiative. What is that exactly, and why is it important?
Yeah, we joined the Green Building Allowance. When I first got into office, we were the first government to join. And one of the reasons we wanted to do this was a goal that the Green Building Allowance said we want to reduce by 50% the carbon usage of our buildings by 2030. So, we joined on to that, and we've succeeded in coming along those lines. But more importantly, we've had 560 different buildings, some of our big buildings in downtown Pittsburgh that use a lot of energy, have joined in. We're the largest building alliance of that type in the world, so we're very proud of that. It's going to save almost 2 million metric tons of carbon over that time period, which is the equivalent of almost driving 5 billion miles with your car.
And do you think that would have happened without the county's leadership stepping in and joining this initiative?
I think it helped. Obviously the largest government in southwestern Pennsylvania taking the lead, that all of our buildings are going to be doing that. So it allowed us to kind of talk to some of our private and nonprofit leaders to say, we think sustainability is something we all need to be part of. It just can't be the government. It's got to be private sector. It's got to be the nonprofits. It's got to be our universities, et cetera. And for the most part, everybody's joined in.
Well, and the county over the last 11 plus years has really done a lot to do its part to make its facilities, its buildings more sustainable. What are some of those efforts that we've taken?
Well, again, we don't want to just ask other people to do something that we're not willing to do ourselves, leading by example. I think of the community college and some of the solar panels that we're going to be putting over some of the buildings along the various campuses that dot Allegheny County. The PRT, the Pittsburgh Regional Transit, the former Port Authority, is adding, they're up to 18 electric buses right now, and it's going to continue to add more as the BRT comes online. So when it comes to vehicular usage, when it comes to our buildings, when it comes to our parks, when it comes to how we recreate, how we work, we're going to continue to do that. Recycling is something we also have done a lot of. We now, over the last 5 years, have recycled almost 500,000 pounds of cardboard, over 100,000 pounds of mixed materials. So that's just one other aspect of we want to make sure that our landfills are protected and that we recycle as much as we can. We have recycling stations all throughout our operations here in Allegheny County. The convention center, it's the world's lead certified convention center in the world. We're very proud of that. Again, some of it's part of initially county government, but some of it's also authorities and agencies that are part and parcel of county government.
Well, and you talked about PRT, improving its number of electric vehicles. The county fleet has also done some of that as well, correct?
We have. I don't think we had any electric fleet of vehicles when I took office. We're up to 13 now, and we'll continue to add that, over time. And we've been very good about, dealing with the Parks Department, the Facilities Department, the Public Works Department, and other departments within county government to be able to do some of those things and do it within budget. So we're doing it sustainably, doing it responsibly, and doing it in a good way, that we're good stewards of the environment and believe in sustainability and are leading by example.
And you mentioned recycling before. How has the county improved its recycling efforts? And that includes, hiring an outside contractor to improve its operations on how it recycles.
Yeah, I mean, obviously sometimes, using outside eyes give us something that we might not be able to do or not think about doing inside. So we have used outside, contractors to come in and give us good advice. Again, it saved the county a lot of money. It saved the county a lot of waste. It's saved in so many different ways. So we're excited about the fact that we do recycle on all those products. And it's about leading by example. We brought a company in dealing with motion lights, so that when people leave the room and the light is left on after a certain period of time, that light's going to turn off. Low flow faucets in some of our buildings. Again, preserving water, conserving electricity, lowering, again, our energy usage and our carbon footprint. It's something that we've been doing again and again and again over the time that I've been in office.
And some of our facilities have seen some significant improvements with steam as well to conserve, correct?
Well, that's exactly right. One of the things we did was put our own steam plant in the basement of the county office building, which is saving us a tremendous amount, not only dollars, but also and again, the carbon footprint that we're doing, because the system we were on before was not very efficient and not, in many ways, not as environmentally friendly as we want to be.
Well, and you talked about leading by example. Our sustainability department, and before that the Office of Sustainability, did a lot of external work to try to encourage people to live more sustainably. Talk about some of those efforts.
Well, again, they've been out there talking about how can other entities that might not have the knowledge about how to make some changes that won't necessarily be impactful on, detrimentally impactful on an operation, but that other entities can follow and do some of the things that we're doing. So we do want to reach out and partner. And again, it's trading good ideas. Sometimes we get good ideas from other entities, and we're able to share good ideas that we've learned to entities as well. Well,
and we have a lot of partnerships that have helped, clean up brownfields and so forth. Talk a little bit about some of those outside efforts that have helped, some partnerships we have throughout the county. It really is a partnership, and I start with some of the brain power that we get out of our great universities who are leading in some of these things, and we have corporate partners that really care about how they operate with their own employees, with their own operations, their buildings, et cetera. And then we have a great philanthropic community that really also pitches in and helps us. Things like this are often funded by some of the great foundations that we have here in southwestern Pennsylvania. So when you have all these partners working together, and I will say government at all levels, the local government, the 130 municipalities that we have, the state government's been a great partner at the state of Pennsylvania, and then the federal government with some of the new things that the IRA has done with respect to, again, sustainability, reducing carbon footprint. All these things come together because nobody can do this by themselves. It really is a team effort, and we're glad to be part of that team. Well, and moving back to the parks a little bit, some of the efforts here, we host recycling events. We have park rangers talk about sustainability. How much of it is it a focus for the Parks Department to teach a little bit more about sustainability sustainability to our visitors?
It's a big part of it. And we talked about all the trees that we planted. We talked about, the 43 acres of meadowlands that we've put in place. We've just last year alone, almost 12,000 new plants and flowers and shrubs, again, to improve not just the beautification, but also the air quality and the ecology that we share with nature here. And so many people use these parks. We get over 20 million, 22 million visitors a year that visit our parks. We want, number one, of them to have a good experience when they do so, enjoying nature, maybe coming to a concert, maybe going to a playground, enjoying the trails, doing some biking, whatever it might be at our county parks, but also to know that we want them to use the parks in a good way. So that number one, we're leaving the parks in a better condition than we found it, but also the fact that, again, we're not doing any damage and adding to the carbon footprint, which is going to hurt our climate in years to come.
Talking about leaving it better than you found it, you have a few more months in office. What do you think your legacy will be in regard to sustainability?
Well, I think it's going to be pretty positive, and I think one thing I do hear a lot is people are happy with the improvements that we've made in our county parks over these last 12 years. We have a park system, but I like to say everyone kind of has their individual park. If you live in the eastern suburbs, Boyce Park is your park. If you live in the western suburbs, Settler Cabin is your park. If you live down in the Mon Valley, White Oak or Rond Hill is your park. North Hills, North Park, or Heartwood Acres, etc. So everyone kind of has their park that they feel like they own. That's their park that they feel a great pride with and a great connection to. And in all of those parks, we have made major improvements when it comes to the trails, when it comes to the shelters, when it comes to whether it's the skating rinks or the slopes in Boyce Park, adding amenities that improve things. And we're going to continue to do that. And it's the one thing I hear all the time is that our department has really done a great level of improvement. The Parks Foundation has done some tremendous work, again, raising money for some things that we might not have had in the budget to be able to do and be able to do it quicker.
County Executive, thank you so much for joining me today to talk about this important topic. And thank you for joining us as well. Join us next time for more conversations with the County Executive.